General Motors presents Transportation Unlimited. Drive wheels over steel tracks, the thrilling song of tires along modern highways, the breathtaking flight of jet engines symbolize transportation reaching a peak in Cadillac, a new high in Buick, and revealing new power with economy in Pontiac. The futuramic beauty of Oldsmobile. Chevrolet makes its bow, the world's finest transportation in trucks and coaches, styling and comfort in Fisher bodies, smooth horsepower built into diesel-electric locomotives, and a range of Frigidaire and Delco appliances, and mighty jet engines for airplanes. All take a curtain call at New York's famous Waldorf Astoria, where the marvels of modern engineering science are unveiled. This historic showplace of the world furnishes the setting for the exciting shows and exhibits presented by General Motors in their greatest spectacle of all time, Transportation Unlimited. Excitement and anticipation run high as eager thousands from among the nation's automotive enthusiasts jam entrances to view this special display. They love it, for the kind of life we live and love depends on transportation.
C.E. Wilson, president of General Motors, greets bandmaster Fred Waring. Other distinguished guests include General Albert Cody Wademeyer, Army Plans Chief and wartime China Theater Commander. Also present with the other luminaries is movie actress Glenda Farrell. And another bright star gracing the show with his presence is James Melton of the Melodious Voice, who is welcomed by Albert Bradley, Executive Vice President of GM. Representing Broadway are Jessica Tandy and her husband Hume Cronyn. The grand ballroom and its balconies are paid a visit by another screen favorite, Anita Colby. That genial music master, Paul Whiteman, is on hand. In fact, they're all here to get the latest on the latest. And why not? The entire spirit of the show is typified by the column of stars. This 26-foot, five-sided pylon is topped by a revolving globe 7 feet in diameter and sets the theme for the engineering pattern of motoring around the globe. A main center of attraction in this glittering mirror of tomorrow, it is the heartbeat, which sparks this crowd to further inspection of the futuramic fantasy.
A highlight of the pageant is the Crossroads of America diorama. Here, the progress of a small town is dramatically detailed as affected by the influence of the motor car during half a century. The effect of change is accomplished in a period of a few minutes. The evolution of a country town, typified by the one-time sleepy village of Pleasant Corners, is reproduced in miniature in one of the most unusual mechanized exhibits General Motors has ever contrived. The turnover sections count more than a score and are operated by 25 electric motors with dozens of switches and circuit breakers. Here is a picture of the streamlining influence of the automobile. Rutted roads replaced by smooth, wide surfaces. Old shacks becoming schoolhouses, modern garages and filling stations.
Illustrating the advance made in buying power, here is an interesting exhibit. A 29 Buick costs $1,320. A 48 Chevrolet costs $40 less and offers infinitely more to the customer. An example of GM progress. The show goes on with Mr. Wilson greeting other favorite guests. Howard Chandler Christie, almost as famous as Chevrolet in his artistic way. And, well, everybody is here. Motor-hungry America is flocking to the first major show since the war, and there are endless marvels to see. For instance, there's the Allison turbojet engine, which powers 7 out of 13 of our military aircraft. Herman here is giving Tilly a high-level technical talk about it. But does it do him any good? It does not. But there are things that everyone in this milling throng can understand. One of them is the beauty of GM's gleaming new family of 1949. They didn't just happen. Men like W.F. Armstrong, general manager of Chevrolet, C.E. Wilson, president of General Motors, and Emmy Coyle have brought their years of know-how to the task, as have H.J. Klingler, general manager of Pontiac, and Orman E. Hunt, executive vice president of General Motors. Harley Earl, who is responsible for the beauty of GM products, talks with C.L. McEwen, Research Vice President. John Gordon heads the destinies of Cadillac, Ivan Wiles of Buick, and S.E. Skinner of Oldsmobile. Mr. Earl is joined by Harlow H. Curtice, until recently head of Buick, and now an executive vice president and GM board member. James Crawford, GM's engineering head, chats with Charles Kettering, father of GM Research, an innovator of many principles which have carried GM forward with giant strides through the years. It is with pride that they can behold one of the engines of the year. It's a compact and powerful Chevrolet power plant. It has Economy Plus. But if you like gimmicks, watch this closely. It starts out by being the peppy, power-packed Pontiac engine, all in one piece. And right before your eyes, it starts a mechanical striptease. As its massive block begins to unfold like Milady's handbag, every detail of its working parts is there for you to look at. To produce this little marvel, 3 motor blocks were used. But whether your Pontiac comes in the 6 or 8-cylinder version, they're both power-packed. There's an extra snap to this motor. While this is a good trick, we wouldn't advise you to try it on your own Pontiac.
Now our television cameras introduce you to one of GM's newest babies, the rocket engine, which powers the 49 Oldsmobile. Completely new in design and conception, it lives up to its name, but with economy. With increased compression, it develops 135 horsepower, 23% more than in previous models. Research and engineering have brought this about, despite the fact that the size and weight of the power plant have been reduced. This engine, with its 8 cylinders, is 9 inches shorter and only 4 inches wider than the first one-cylinder Olds engine of 50 years ago. And get this, folks, it's 19 times as powerful. It's a far cry from the days of the merry Oldsmobile when Pappy cranked and Mama kibitzed. There'll be no cranking on this baby, but Mom will still backseat drive. However, Pappy will never have to get out and get under. There's plenty of room in that convertible, but you can't all get in. Now the spotlight turns on the wheel of fashion, where the aristocratic 49 Buick holds every eye. What a wonderful summery sight on these frosty days. Under that graceful hood, there lurks the famous Fireball engine, whose smooth power output has become more than mere performance. It has become a tradition. More than that, on Roadmaster models, it comes equipped with Dynaflow, the oil transmission which eliminates gear shifting. I don't see how she has the heart to get out of that beautifully styled car with the distinctive ventiports on the front fender. And don't forget that the crowd is looking strictly at the car. That is, up to now they were. The new Buick has 22% more glass area in all models. Oh, all right, look at her, but we'll come back to the car later. Of course, this Buick is an aid to romance, but remember also that it hasn't a clutch pedal. The silky Dynaflow has banished forever that gear shift lever that baffled Aunt Minnie. Now, about that girl, it seems she has on a beach costume. But we ask you how she would have gotten to the beach without a Buick, balanced to take up every road shot. Incidentally, those ventiports we mentioned earlier aren't there just for ornaments. They help in keeping the mighty Fireball engine cool. Yes, Buick is Cupid's own ally, but it is much, much more. It is the car that has gone down through the years as a symbol of dependability, durability, and responsibility. Now in 49, Buick has again striven successfully to better its past enviable record. Every General Motors resource and technical skill has gone into making it the greatest Buick in history. This is the incomparably beautiful Roadmaster, styled for the atomic age. Dynaflow is standard equipment on this model. Again, Buick raises its head proudly in a patrician family of motor cars. cars that proclaim America's industrial supremacy. Yes, the dog is optional.
Yes, there's plenty for the record audience to see in this glittering panorama of automotive stardom. Let's follow the crowd through the long parade of displays that grace ballrooms and balconies. In addition to the line of super-duper automobiles, fascinating engineering miracles are revealed. This miniature, proceeding over rough-riding testing apparatus, is doing 60 miles per hour standing still. But it gets results, as anyone can see. From such experimental operations, engineers are enabled to provide a smooth ride. And here it is. A companion device demonstrates the velvety play of knee action. The frame section stands still, while the wheel and tire do a boop-a-doop.
Turning our television lens back to the wheel of fashion, we greet the new Cadillac, standard of the world. Here is, frankly, an exercise in elegance by America's oldest builder of luxury.
Road soaring over high mountain passes, long stretches of desert sand, and rough going through wintry landscapes are taken with almost unbelievable ease. Someday, when you've enough of that mad whirl of metropolitan gaiety, take off your gay clothes, put on your play clothes, and let the finest engine in the world take you in sleek contentment over the highways of the nation, or anywhere. You'll be proud. When you're ready, just ease your foot on the accelerator, and that simpler, lighter engine, designed to take full advantage of the higher octane fuels, will convince you that Cadillac has given the world a new standard in automotive engines. No matter what your choice, elegance or rugged power, you'll find your ideal in the millions of miles of experience and background contained in the superlative car with its famous engine.
A 60-foot scale model of the Train of Tomorrow, which has been touring the nation for nearly 2 years, contributes its share to the railroad phase of GM transportation. The train features a vision-widening rooftop astrodome. The locomotive is representative of the diesel passenger locomotives produced by the Electromotive Division. The actual Train of Tomorrow has visited hundreds of cities and has been inspected by millions of admiring guests. Television again brings you another unveiling. This time it's the new Pontiac for $49. Another TV first that displays GM's car in the next to lowest price class. Let's all give it a big hand. The Army seems to have the situation well in hand, but you never can tell, even with this dream car to offer. It's lower, longer, wider, and more handsome than ever. Watch it, Army. Anything can happen. And it does. The Navy seems to be taking over. Incidentally, keep your eye on that Pontiac. It's got the new exclusive Travelux ride. Say, that lieutenant is trying to spring a fast one on the Army. And speaking of springing, do you realize the Pontiac has new cushion springing? Say, maybe the Navy's really taking over. Oops. Hold it a minute. You can't lick the U.S. Army. Not easy. And that blanket reminds me of the blanket ride you get from the Pontiac's sealed airplane-type shock absorbers. Just like that car back there, there's no need to mention names. Boy, does she strut her stuff. Hey, wait, who's that interloper? The Air Force has taken over in a broad way. And that reminds me, the Pontiac has low-pressure tires on broad rims, which add to the comfort of the ride enjoyed by the passengers. And, oh yes, the passengers have the advantage of the Visionaire interior, which derives from that smartly curved windshield, plus increased glass area all around. Well, the Bomber Division seems to have triumphed, just like a certain car, which we won't mention again, will triumph in its class. That's it. Right in the middle of the wheel of fashion, if you don't know. Well, three's a crowd, but don't let's forget that even three well-nourished individuals, even including a Marine, can sit comfortably side by side in the roomy front seat of a Pontiac. Well, it looks like an armistice. They're all singing, just like the power pack engine of a Pontiac.
GM research engineers fashion a lot of fancy gadgets to give us the lowdown on a car's mechanism. The Dynaflow transmission principle, making for automatic changes from one speed to another. And a graphic example of the advantages built into the new high-compression motor, powering Cadillacs and Oldsmobiles. Among the other interesting presentations is a device to register the precision timing of the ignition. 1/1000th of a second may mean 2 miles per gallon. Here, the advance and retard of the spark are reflected at different power requirements and speeds.
The merry Oldsmobile takes its place on the wheel of fashion. Another member of the Futuramic line for 49. Right in line with the Futuramic styling is this stylish couple, all duked out for, say, is this bride and groom to be? Could be. If so, they'll certainly be wedded to their new Olds, with its full-width body, oversized windshield, hug-the-road grills, wrap-around bumpers, and built-in ventilating system. Well, it looks like we guessed it correctly the first time. They are very lovey-dovey. That gown, by the way, is not standard equipment with the car, even though it matches the Olds Futuramic styling. And here's the big surprise. A surprise I suspect that she expected. But the big surprise about Oldsmobile is its new 135 horsepower rocket engine, the most powerful engine ever built into an Olds. And now it looks like congratulations are in order, not only for the rocket, but for our happy couple. So, what about a little music, Professor?
Say, before you leave, let's tell you that there are 3 sparkling new 98 series Oldsmobiles. And don't forget, the new power plant, like that of Cadillacs, is a high-compression job that utilizes the principles of GM's new high-octane fuel economy. What chance has a gal got in a car like that? Hey, lady, don't forget those smart air scoops built in below the headlights. And no backseat driving. Crowds at the General Motors show are treated to a liberal education in automotive engineering. Here we see how molecular construction determines the octane rating of gasoline. Here is the hydromatic principle in which oil is used to transmit power smoothly and evenly. That principle is utilized in the hydromatic and Dynaflow drives that are standard equipment on many GM cars. The interiors of GM's 49 family come in for just as careful design as the glamorous exteriors. After all, the upholstery is what you ride on, and careful attention has been lavished on this phase of comfort. In this cutaway Fisher body, you may see the compact and resilient springing of the cushions that make for that smoothest of rides.
And now the greatest selling automobile in the world, the Chevrolet for 1949, makes its bow with no reason for stage fright. For here it is, complete with 20 major mechanical advancements. Uh-oh. Look what he thinks he's going to give her for a wedding present. All wrapped up in white satin ribbon. Don't tell her a thing, though. This is supposed to be a surprise. Does she know this beautiful creation has a new improved valve-in-head engine? She does not. Does she know about the extra wide wheel rims? She does not, but she knows she likes it, and isn't he wonderful? Well, keep looking, Toots. You'll find plenty to delight you. Did you ever see such luxury in a low-priced car? Just as a sample, there's 30% more driver vision. But there's more, much more. The styling compares with cars of far greater price. Does she know all this? she does not, but she's rapidly finding out. Even if she didn't love the guy, she'd probably marry him for the Chevrolet. She still has to find out about what that low center of gravity does to make a Chevrolet ride like floating on a pink cloud. And there's plenty of room in that trunk for her trousseau. Uh-oh, now it starts. He thinks he's going to get into the driver's seat, but she caught sight of that wheel and exquisitely designed dashboard. And he bets she won't wind up driving. She may not know for sure, but she's got an idea. The center point steering will make her a champion driver. Well, you can't blame a guy for trying. After all, he bought the car. Maybe he whispered something about the low-pressure tires. Anyway, it worked. She loved the car all the time. And guess who's in the driver's seat? Uh-huh, the little woman. Well, at that, you can't blame her when the car's a '49 Chevrolet, the low-priced car with a big car performance. Stingy on fuel, generous on service, Chevrolet is tailored to newlyweds' budget. In designing Chevrolet, GM has considered the small-income groups in this America on wheels. For to an American, a car is an intimate part of life. It spells freedom, release from care, the adventures of the highway, and Chevrolet brings them all, plus luxury. Ladies, if your husband is missing, you might find him in this crowd, and you can't blame him if he's lured by this smart creation for recreation. Now, let me see. Where did I leave that toothbrush? But in a trunk this size, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. And this trunk is so big, you could almost put a haystack in it.
In all the great GM show, few cars attract more interest than the popular two-door Buick. And for the small fry, those Ventaports have a special interest. And they seem to have their own very thorough technique of investigation. Yes, kiddies, those holes are very useful. But overall is the grandeur that is Cadillac. Sleek, beautiful, and powerful. GM's ultimate expression in automotive engineering creation. In the medium price field is Oldsmobile, in its turn a triumph. Here again, GM's great reservoir of know-how has scored a win. Actually, these buttons raise and lower windows. You don't have to study the piano to operate them, but it might help. Whoever owns this hand could stand a little more practice, or make up his mind about which window he wants open. Now, here's another little gadget. You see, he hasn't read the book of instruction, or maybe he can't read. What do you know? He's locked out. There must be a way. You just keep trying, Junior. Go on. Just try that button. That's right. See, we knew GM wouldn't keep you out of the car. So you've got a large family, and they all want to see what's going on. Well, 30% more glass area is going to keep down a lot of family arguments, and that Sunday ride will be quieter. Another look at this sleek job reveals why Chevrolet is designed and destined to continue as leader in its field. So you think three's a crowd? Well, it isn't in the Oldsmobile convertible with its spacious front seat. In fact, 3.5 fit very nicely. All the success of this great automotive show is reflected in the smile of C.E. Wilson, president of General Motors.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have seen the wonders of the greatest post-war automotive show. They have been brought to you as milestones in the progress of industrial America. In themselves, they represent the results of 380,000 people working as a team. For those of you who have been unable to visit this great free show, General Motors cordially invites you to call on your local dealer and inspect for yourselves the cars you have just seen on your television set and which GM so proudly presented as a result of post-war research and engineering.